Good evening, and welcome back to another edition, a legendary edition of Deep in the Heart of Longhorn Sports. It's Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, 10:12 p.m., a moment in time, a day in Texas athletics history that will be remembered forever. 24 hours ago, right before their arch rival, the Texas A&M Aggies, would play in a winner-take-all national championship game against Tennessee for the program's first and only national championship in over 85 years in any of the three major collegiate men's sports, football, basketball, or baseball. Texas announces that it would be parting ways with well-respected and still well-respected coach David Pierce, who in his 8 years with the Longhorns led them to 3 Big 12 championships, won many, many games, and got to Omaha 3 times. They announced they would be parting ways with David Pierce, and the speculation ran rampant. All through the night, through the end of the game, through the game-ending press conference, which we'll talk about, until today, when just before 6 p.m., when I was arriving at the grocery store, what everyone thought came to fruition. The Texas Longhorns have hired former Texas A&M baseball coach Jim Schlossnagle to be their new head coach of the baseball program. Welcome in, everyone. Cue that motherfucking intro. Where's that shit?
Oh, God.
We're the flagship program in this state, right? And
a bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit.
Welcome in, everyone, to again a legendary edition of Deep in the Heart of Longhorn Sports. It's days like today, which are one of the big reasons I wanted to start this show. Here with me is my fantastic co-host, a Texas fan himself, a man who right now resides in Austin, Texas, where in just a little less than 5 days now, Texas will be holding a massive celebration on the 40 acres with Pitbull performing to celebrate going into the SEC. And just less than a week before that celebration, which is going to take place basically all day Sunday, they steal the spotlight. And probably the best head coach on Texas A&M's campus, Jim Schlossnagle, to be their baseball coach. What a day this has been. Emmy, what's up?
Man, when you called me during work today, I I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest, because I was out of the loop. It was a busy day at work, if I'm being real. But man, whenever you can fuck over the Aggies, I'm a happy man. Let me tell you. And then, of course, like when I was on my date yesterday, like we happened to walk by a sports bar where I saw Tennessee celebrating winning the championship, and yeah, I reacted a little bit. Like, yeah, fuck the Aggies. So it's only right.
Well, we have a
'Cause,
lot. We
I
have a
mean,
lot to get into. If you're tuning in live, thank you very much. If you're not, please go back and watch this later. I'm guessing with the thumbnail that I put together and all the energy that's going to go into this podcast, this will probably be one of our more viewed Deep in the Heart of Longhorn Sports podcast. But this story isn't going away. It's not just going to be tonight, and we're not going to talk about this again. There are going to be massive ripple effects to the hiring of Jim Schlossnagle that I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit in this 45 minutes to an hour, but we'll touch on again this weekend in our next hole. When potentially more portal moves have been made, staff hires have been made, everything. But before we get into anything, I wanted to go through a couple social media posts and read to you guys Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte's official statement, as this has become official as of like 1 or 2 hours ago. So let me go ahead and share my screen if you guys do not mind, especially if you're Aggies. And would you take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen? Texas Baseball official Twitter account introducing the new head coach of your Texas Longhorns at Coach Schloss. Hook 'em. Jim Schlossnagle, Texas Baseball head coach. How about that? Wow. So then, Chris Del Conte released a statement, as he always does when he hires a new head coach, and I want to read it to you guys. So let me see if I can get it up on our screen here. Maybe, maybe not. If not, I'll just go from, I can share my screen again, and we can go from here. All right. So that's what I'll do. I'm going to share my screen once again, and we're going to read this
bear
statement
with us, guys.
by the Texas Athletic Director, Chris Del Conte. Quote, "What a great day it is to be a Longhorn. We are absolutely thrilled to have Coach Schlossnagle joining our Longhorn family. And like everything we do, we couldn't have made this happen without this incredible leadership in our chairman and the Board of Regents and our president. Chairman Eltife and President Hartzell are a critical piece in every decision we make. They are such great friends and counsel, and together help us make great days like today happen for Longhorn Nation. I can't thank them enough." There's actually a part 2 to this statement, which I do want to pull up as we continue. Let me see if I can get this part up for you guys. Part 2. I've known Coach Schlossnagle for a long time, and there is no better coach, program builder, and leader in the game. And the best part is he's an even better person. When we were looking for our next baseball coach, we knew Schloss would be the perfect choice. And we are beyond thrilled that he's joining our Longhorn family. He's a guy that obviously knows our state so well, is very familiar with our program's rich and proud history and everything Texas baseball is all about, and absolutely checks all the boxes for this critical position. He really gets it on every level of building a team, develops and gets the best out of his players and coaches, recruits with the best of them, and is totally dialed in to the holistic growth of the student athletes in his program. Our players, our staff, the UT community, and Longhorn Nation will absolutely love him. I can't wait to get him started and for everyone to have a chance to meet him. The future of our program is in great hands, and I'm so excited to have Coach Schlossnagle joining our elite group of coaches as we prepare to head into the Southeastern Conference. That is Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte's statement on the hiring of Jim Schlossnagle. Emmy Nixon, your overall reaction.
I'm surprised you read all of that, but yeah, I mean, dude, like they were in the national championship like 24 hours ago. So, gosh, I have one person in mind in particular, but like that person is an Aggie fan, and like just I would just love to see the look on his face right now, just because I want to feel that satisfaction, and like I don't know, this is definitely a victory lap of an episode, but there's a lot of work to be done, obviously, and I think the first thing that like will immediately be better is him going into the transfer portal and getting top talent, and then as well as the pitching situation from last year with David Pierce taking over the pitching coaching duties. It wasn't a good scenario. It just put even more on his plate, and it just didn't work out in that final season. So I just think the coaching staff setup will just be a lot easier now. Like there's going to be an actual hierarchy of people working on things rather than just David Pierce just kind of working his way through it.
Yeah, so first I want to read more reaction from UT President Jay Hartzell. He says, quote, "What a home run hire. Coach Schlossnagle," and you can call him Coach Schloss if you don't want to say Schlossnagle every time, "is the best in the business. His long list of accomplishments is incredible, and his track record of building great programs is well documented." Then he kind of rubs it in A&M's face. Watch this. "We are the premier baseball program in the country with legendary coaches, our 6 national championships, and record 38 College World Series appearances. So it's certainly fitting that we hired a coach of his caliber to lead our program. We're looking forward to great days ahead with Coach Schloss leading our Longhorns," end quote. I mean, man, can it get any better than that? I mean, it's not his intentions to rub it in to A&M's face so outwardly like that, but if you read between the lines, I mean, you can really see
it did the job.
what they're trying to do there. Here's what I'm going to say from intel that I've gotten, okay, here in the past hour, from what I'm reading. A couple things to pass along so we can dive deeper into the intricacies of this conversation before we get out of here tonight. Sources well connected to the baseball program in the border regions, which made this happen, say that no matter what happened last night, barring some complete turnaround or change in circumstance, no matter what happened last night, whether A&M had won the national championship or if it had been a blowout, whatever the case may have been, Schloss was going to be the Texas baseball coach, win or lose. Okay, that's coming from people well connected to the situation. Number 2, people well connected to the situation were told that this deal was done a little less than 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
This didn't just come into the picture. How long were the conversations going? A while, say the sources. I guess that he went through this entire postseason knowing that once it was over, he was bouncing. People have questions about the timeline because it was just announced yesterday publicly that Texas was parting ways with David Pierce. That immediately brought into light speculation of, okay, they announce it now, it's got to be one of these two coaches that are coaching, either Tony Vitello of Tennessee, who was going to be harder to get, or Jim Schlossnagle, who, by the way, and we'll get into this in a little bit, is very good friends with Chris Del Conte, which helped make this happen. But remember, Texas didn't achieve its goals this season. Getting eliminated in the regional round and not even getting to a regional final to play A&M with the chance to maybe get out of the regional is not the standard of Texas baseball. Once they were eliminated, the wheels were already set in motion. Remember, we had the regional, the next weekend we had the super regional, and now we've had 2 weeks of baseball in Omaha. So it's really been 3 or 4 weeks since Texas has been eliminated. And I think right as they were eliminated, according to what I'm hearing, CDC knew. And I'm guessing he had let David Pierce know as well when they had their postseason conversations, post-mortem conversations, that it was best that they go in a different direction. And there was really only one guy, and that was Jim Schlossnagle, who Chris Del Conte, from his time from 2010 to 2017, before he got the Texas athletic director job, was at TCU when Jim Schlossnagle was the baseball coach at TCU. Jim Schlossnagle really got his start. He developed his reputation as a college baseball coach by making TCU into one of the top programs in college baseball while he was there, taking them to 5 College World Series appearances. Now with A&M in 3 seasons, taking them to 2 College World Series appearances. And if you remember, a couple of years back, eliminating Texas from the College World Series in the process and doing it again this year. I think once Texas was eliminated, based on the information that's now coming out, the wheels were already in motion. Chris Del Conte knew who he wanted. He knew he had connections with that guy. He knew that guy would listen. And even in the midst of a historical run for the Aggies, this deal was able to get done. And based on what I'm hearing, based on sources, it sounds like there were 100 reasons for him wanting to leave A&M. And that CDC really didn't have to blow him away with some over-the-top sales pitch to get him to Austin. Now, a couple more things, and then I want your reaction to all this. There's buzz that some of the players from that loaded A&M roster are going to be following him. And you mentioned the portal, and that's going to be a big part of this. The portal, according to sources, is about to get pretty wild. And then number 5, there's an expectation that NIL donations, which were a problem under David Pierce, Texas baseball wasn't on the level of an LSU or any of these programs really in the SEC in terms of the financial backing for the baseball program, because I think David Pierce the program had plateaued a little bit with what it was doing. And you saw that in their lack of portal success. There wasn't enough financial backing in terms of NIL. And now there's an expectation that NIL donations will need to meet the excitement of this moment. an investment on that side is needed. People need to, with the excitement that's generated with this move, need to go out and now support and back the Texas baseball program for what Schlossnagle has proven he can do in a short time period with multiple different programs. He's one of 4 coaches in college baseball history to win multiple games in Omaha with 2 different programs. If he does it with Texas, he would be the only coach in college baseball history to win multiple games in Omaha with 3 different programs. So I think there's an expectation that the NIL donations will follow and that he'll be able to generate more of a financial backing. He'll do better in the portal. He'll get to bring some of that elite talent from Texas A&M with him. He'll get to bring, sources are saying, his entire staff from Texas A&M with him. It's a major day in the history of Texas baseball. And he's 53 years old. So it's not like he's getting close to retirement. He's got a while to go, as long as he pretty much wants in his college baseball career, his coaching career.
So he started coaching. So he started as a head coach in his early 40s then.
Yeah, so he started at UNLV, then goes to TCU, really develops his reputation as one of the top head coaches in college baseball at TCU when he took them to 5 College World Series appearances. And then after in kind of simultaneously with Del Conte going to Texas, he left TCU, left his family basically, and went to College Station to take the A&M job. And in 3 years there, had a lot of success, including leading the Aggies to the brink of winning a national championship. On Sunday in Game 2, they were like 7 outs away from lifting the trophy and winning the national championship. Then Tennessee makes a rally, and the rest is history. So I just want your reaction to some of that. Where does your mind go first when I dispel some of that intel that I've been?
I mean, it's a lot to take in there. I mean, I guess just the first thing that comes to mind, I guess, is just, I mean, yeah, the whole timing of it is weird, but I mean, it's just, living in Austin compared to living in College Station. Like, I just don't think I just don't think it compares. There's going to be some people that obviously like love College Station, but that's not me. So, but I mean, I think just the living situation probably plays a part. I think Texas, having the history it does definitely plays a part, because no matter how successful he would get at A&M, he would always be like, down the list in terms of programs, those fans prioritize.
Yeah.
And those, that school prioritizes.
There are a lot of reasons, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Number one, and first and foremost, his relationship with Chris Del Conte really expedited this process. Schlossnagle's hiring at TCU predated Chris Del Conte's, but the two really worked closely together in their time together at TCU for nearly a decade. And it became more than just, I'm the boss and you're the coach. And just as he did with Gary Patterson, where during his time at TCU, he built a really good relationship with Gary Patterson and was able to bring Patterson in to help the Texas football program for a year. He's doing that same thing right now with Jim Schlossnagle. And there are people that doubt that Schlossnagle would have ever left TCU if Del Conte didn't leave for Texas. And there were also reports that came out saying Schlossnagle wanted the Texas job back in 2017 when, after Augie Garrido retired, Texas had the opening, but Texas didn't call him. They went with David Pierce, and the rest is history. But now they circle back around, and they are able to steal him from Texas A&M, which makes this all that much better after just 24 hours or less than that after A&M gets the national championship ripped away from them, literally, in game 3. It's you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. Second, A&M is a really good job. That baseball program, until I guess today, was in a really good spot. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a roster that was going to be a top 5 level team again next season. And at one point this year was the number 1 team in the country. Some people prefer the smaller environment to the bustling city that is Austin, Texas, as we both know, living in Austin for so long. But the feeling is from sources that after being in Fort Worth for so long, really developing his roots there at TCU, the feeling is Schlossnagle is more geared towards that big city vibe than he is the small country kind of college
Charm, I guess.
vibe. And that also drew him to Austin. And there are sources also saying that his family's very fond of living in Austin. So I'm sure that played a part, as you mentioned. Texas is a destination job. As you heard Jay Hartzell say, it's the program with the most College World Series appearances, the second most national championships, 6 runner-up finishes. It's a real blue blood of college baseball. And you can make the argument it is the flagship program in the history of college baseball with the success that they've achieved. It's perhaps the best program in the history of the sport. And even the down years that Texas baseball has had are good years for most other programs. And that's another draw.
Yeah.
And then a couple other things. Texas and Chris Del Conte had the resolve to get this done. If you think about, and I don't want to bore anybody, but if you think about the short time that he's been at Texas and the legacy he's kind of carving out for himself with the hires that he's made in just a short period of time. I mean, Steve Sarkisian. Now, that's not the same as this, but because there were a lot of questions about Sark, even when he was hired. As big as a hire as that was, there were questions about, will Sark really pan out, based on his coaching record and some of the off-the-field issues that he's had. Of course, now we know that's worked out fantastic.
Yeah.
But you think about the coaches that he's hired. I mean, Vic Schaefer is, I think, a fine example.
Yeah. I mean,
reputation, great reputation. I mean, Mike White, the softball coach, again, it just keeps going on. I think Texas and Chris Del Conte, the legacy he's kind of carving out for himself, when they want their guy, they're going to make it very hard for their guy to say no to Texas because it's Texas. So I'll let
as
you.
It should. I think you nailed it with, just every single hire that he's made has been just stacking up, marquee hire after marquee hire. Like, it's just been really, really impressive, man.
Yeah, really impressive. I think this Schlossnagle hire, elevates Del Conte to a new level in the eyes of Longhorn Nation in terms of what he's done for Texas athletics when he's been here.
For sure.
His goal, along with the Board of Regents and President Jay Hartzell, and I'm familiar because I went to the school, I attended the school, and I've seen this from where it was 4 years ago, as have you, but
From afar,
I've
yeah. It's a
been
little
on
different.
campus.
Yeah.
Their goal has been, ever since the SEC move was announced, but even before that, was to make every single sport at Texas relevant going into the SEC. And by hiring these level of coaches, certainly helps, right? It can't hurt.
Yeah.
And he's doing it, and he's doing a great job. So props to Chris Del Conte. Just think about the level of precision and what it takes for him to pull this kind of move off with the level of success that the Texas A&M baseball team was having this year, including beating Texas in the process of getting to Omaha,
Yeah.
and then going undefeated in Omaha up until you lose that heartbreaker of a game in game 2 and then lose the national championship. Like, I think there was a good feel just over a couple weeks ago that there was no way Schloss would leave for Texas, but things change. Now, what we don't know yet is the contract terms. Those haven't been released yet. What I'm hearing is he's going to reset the market in terms of college baseball coaches to become the highest paid coach in college baseball. What does that mean? Well, probably means $3 to $3.5 million per year.
Wow.
And if you look at what Texas men's basketball coach Rodney Terry is making, that's probably somewhere in that ballpark on an annual basis. I think one of the things that makes this even more possible is the fact that Sark got the bump that he did. Because we all know football comes first and foremost. And you can't have any other coach on campus making more than the football coach. The fact that they were able to give Sark that bump from $5 million annually to $10 million annually makes it a little easier for them to come back and say, we're going to pay our baseball coach, even though baseball is viewed by most as the second most important sport on campus based on the history of the program and the expectations. It makes it a little easier for Del Conte to go and hire a baseball coach and to kind of break the bank for a baseball coach when the football coach has already been taken care of to the level that Steve Sarkisian got taken care of, over $2 million a year. It makes it a little easier to pay your baseball coach $3.5 million per year. I don't know exactly what it'll be, but I think it'll be somewhere in that ballpark when your football coach is making $10 million instead of $5 million. So I think we'll probably find that out here in the next couple of days, what that contract's going to look like.
Yeah.
I've heard 10 years, $32 million, $35 million. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be big, but based on Schlossnagle's resume, it's well worth it. Like, he is definitely one of the 5 or 6 best college baseball coaches there are right now in the game. And he totally transforms the outlook, I think, for Texas baseball as we go into the SEC. Now, before we wrap this up here in the next 10 minutes, because I know it's late, and
sorry I'm so tired this pod. I kind of hit a wall there.
It's okay. I wanted to play this for you because you may not have seen it, but it's getting a lot of blowback right now because of what Schloss, how he addressed this question post game last night. So I wanted to play this for you and get your thoughts on it. There's been a lot of there were a lot of opinions on this once he said this after last night's game. But he was asked the question as he should have known he was going to be asked in a way that I thought was pretty well phrased and worded in a way that was respectful. And this was his response, and then we'll talk about it. But I thought if you haven't seen this, you should, because it provides some good context as to some of the reason that I think A&M fans kind of have a right to be a little pissed off. So here we go. Maybe.
Come on, please work. Can you hear it? I can't hear it for some reason.
You couldn't hear it?
No, I couldn't hear it.
Interesting. I don't know why. Well,
Like the video played like normal. I didn't have any sound.
interesting. Maybe we'll try again, but I think I can find let me see if this works. Can you hear this?
No.
All right. Well, I don't know why that's not
There's
working.
text there.
Let me see if I can get his statement. But as you can see, like he's already changed his Twitter profile. I want to see if I can get his statement. But what basically the summation of it is, I want to see if I can find his quote. Let me see if I can. And then we'll wrap this thing up because we'll have more on this later this week.
Yeah, more will still come out on it.
Let's see. Now, some context is he when he was at TCU, he did say when speculation was rampant about the A&M job that he said, I have no interest in any other job. And then he ended up taking the A&M job shortly thereafter. I don't know if I can find the quote, but basically what he said is he kind of sidestepped the question. And he basically said, that's selfish of you to ask that question, because the reporter asked, with all due respect to the loss tonight, with the rumors swirling about a specific job. Now, to be fair, the reporter for an Aggie site did not say the Texas job. He just said a specific job.
Yeah, if he wanted to get people riled up, he could have said it, but
yeah,
because he knew.
He said something along the lines of, what does your future look like, or something like that. And I don't want to misquote Schloss, but basically he said, that's selfish of you to ask that question. I took the A&M job to never take another job. I've poured my heart and my soul into this job, and I've given everything that I have so far into this job. And basically, he kind of sidestepped the question a little bit.
Yeah.
He didn't straight up deny, like, I have no interest in taking another job. He just kind of said, like, and look, I mean, it got backlash because of kind of the way he handled it. I mean, if you're the coach of Texas A&M, you have to know whether you think it's fair or not that a question like that is coming.
Yeah.
With all the rumors that are swirling, you can just say, well, I'm just focused on tonight, or
Yeah, and even if you said no comment, that would have been better.
or like no comment on my future right now. I'm just focused on the future of this program, or something along the lines of that. He could have said a lot of things, but instead he kind of went into kind of an emotional, angry, I don't want to say angry, but frustrated kind of side rant, and kind of unfairly, I think, called out the reporter for asking the question. And for that reason, like, he's getting a lot of backlash right now from A&M fans, not just because he's going to Texas, which absolutely plays a part in it, but for some of the things that he said in that remark about A&M, he to now turn around and take the job less than 24 hours later. A&M fans aren't dealing with that
Yeah.
very
And
well right now.
as if this rivalry needed any more gas to the fire. It really didn't, but it's appreciated anyway.
Yeah, and if you guys think that the environment was wild when Chris Beard and the Texas Longhorns men's basketball program went back to Lubbock for that first game after Texas hired Beard from Texas Tech, I'm curious to know what this is going to look like when Texas men's baseball with Schloss goes into Bluebell Park in College Station. I don't know what that's going to look like. It'll be interesting. But this will carry into other sports as well. Like, the rivalry just got that much more heated, interesting. And there will be a lot of, I think, volatility and anger that is expressed by A&M fans, and some of it rightfully so. But we as Texas fans, of course, as kind of big brother, love to it's a day where, as a Texas fan, you puff out your chest a little bit.
Yeah.
This is what Texas is supposed to be. And we got, in summation, a really damn good baseball coach. A coach that is going to attack the portal very hard to get the best of the best talent, has a track record for hiring elite people on his staff. And based on what I'm hearing, he's going to have most of his staff with him that put together that team at A&M. With him in year one in the SEC, is going to totally transform the outlook for what this roster could look like going into year one, with the way that he's going to attack the portal, with the way that they're going to recruit a guy that already knows what it takes to win in the SEC, what it takes to build a program up in the SEC, what it takes to generate the financial backing and the resources that you need, and how to use those resources in the SEC to steal him from Texas A&M less than 24 hours after they lose the national championship in heartbreaking fashion to Tennessee. The coach that got them the closest that they've ever been to a national championship in any of the three major sports in 85 years. It's legendary. It's a legendary day in Texas baseball history, but also Texas athletics.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk more about Texas baseball developments on our next dit hole, which will likely come Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
At this point, there will be staff announcements, which we'll get into. We'll get more into Schloss as Emmy is able to better familiarize himself with Schlossnagle over the next couple days. There will be an introductory press conference tomorrow morning on TexasSports.com at 11 a.m. to officially introduce Jim Schlossnagle as the head coach, as there always is when Texas hires a new coach. We'll probably get the contract details. We'll get coaching staff announcements. We might even get transfer portal player announcements. We might have to bring back portal nuggets, dive into what this Texas baseball team is going to look like. We're just over a month away or less than a month away from the MLB draft. Texas has some draft eligible players. Does this change the outlook for those guys? We'll have to see. We're talking about Jalen Flores. We're talking about Jared Thomas. I mean, some of the key guys from this past year's team. We'll see what happens. There's a lot that will come from this. And then there's also what's going to happen now at Texas A&M. Like, as much shit as Texas fans are going to give Texas A&M over the next couple weeks, pretty much the entire summer. I mean, this is going to be a story. Texas fans are interested in what their counter move is going to be, and rightfully so. And then there's a lot of stuff going on elsewhere that we'll need to get into, including Arthur Kaluma,
Yep.
who is one of the best players left in the portal for basketball. Texas has one spot left on their basketball roster. Good player at Creighton, pretty good player in the year at K-State. 6'7" forward, made an official visit to Texas yesterday. What I'm hearing is it went fantastic. That decision will come down to SMU, who's now in the ACC. So people are kind of, when SMU comes up now in conversations about players, people are like, why at SMU? Well, they're in a Power 4 conference and they have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I think that decision is going to come down to Texas and SMU in the next couple of days. Visit went great, though. We'll see where that goes. Texas has one spot left. And then we still got to get into more recruiting stuff. There was a commitment from John Mills last night, offensive lineman from the San Francisco Bay Area, out in California, the fourth offensive line commit in this class and the 12th overall commit in the 2025 class. And Diabell's a big storyline right now as a 2026 quarterback commitment. Texas just picked up 2026 four-star wide receiver Chris Stort and his commitment this afternoon to follow Diabell. And so we'll talk about that. There's a lot going on in Texas athletics, which is why I started this show. Like, it really is, if you keep up with it to the best of your abilities, it never ends. And we're just a couple weeks. I mean, we're really getting down to business when fall camp will open for football. So, and not even get into like the Cam Williams update that came out today, which is interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it tonight. As I know Emmy's tired. I'm kind of tired, but it's been a great day. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out all of our content on the Raw Prospect Podcast YouTube channel. Remember, tomorrow is the NBA draft. And I don't know, Emmy, if you saw the news, but Mikal Bridges is now a New York Knick.
Oh, shit. What?
Yeah. I'm breaking news to you today, huh?
They got the Villanova boys all together now? Oh,
They
no.
did. Hold on. Okay. So before we get off of here, sorry to extend this, but we have more breaking news. So Texas baseball is bringing over Texas A&M recruiting coordinator Nolan Kane.
Oh boy.
They're also bringing Texas A&M baseball pitching coach Max Weiner and Michael Early are headed to Austin with Jim Schlossnagle. So
Hell yeah.
there's that. Michael Early is he was the assistant coach to Jim Schlossnagle. He's also the hitting coach, so they'll have a hitting coach. They got Max Weiner, one of the premier pitching coaches, and they got Nolan Kane, who's one of the best recruiters in the country. They all of a sudden have an elite baseball staff. And on top of that, in news Emmy probably cares about more, if we're being honest, earlier tonight, Adrian Wojnarowski broke the news that as the draft is in less than 24 hours. And by the way, it's now a 2-day event, which I don't really understand. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think
that
there's
is a
any
little
reason.
strange.
I don't think there's any reason to, like, you're not the NFL draft. I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
And it's not the strongest draft that you've ever had in terms of the talent within it. So they're doing the first round tomorrow and the second round Thursday, which I don't see the reason for it, but regardless, news broke. Well, a couple things happened. So we'll just get your reaction to this, and then we'll get out of here. So let's see. Where is it? Okay, so this news broke 8:58 p.m. Breaking. The Brooklyn Nets have agreed in principle on a trade to send forward Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks for Bojan Bogdanovic, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and a protected first-round pick via the Bucks, an unprotected pick swap, and a second-rounder.
Wow.
The Knicks pay a steep price to land one of the league's most coveted trade assets, and the Nets get a massive haul to replenish assets and embark on a rebuild with mass cap space and future draft picks. And Kevin O'Connor goes on to say, the Nova Knicks are complete. And then in addition to that, another massive deal, Brooklyn has a deal with Houston to return the Nets' 2026 first-round pick for a 2027 Phoenix Suns first-round pick, sources tell ESPN. Rockets also acquire 2025 right to swap Houston OKC first for. Okay, this is getting too confusing for me.
Yeah.
But what we might do is we might do a draft reaction tomorrow night. We'll see. And if we do that, we can get more into these trades. But there have been a couple NBA trades that have gone down. And there's a picture right here that I'm looking at that has Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart all standing together in Knicks uniforms.
Wow. Yeah.
And then there's a GIF of Jay Wright. So, yeah, it's a pretty wild day in sports. But that's going to do it. Do you have any reaction to that, by the way, before we get out of here?
I'm a little bit in shock that the Knicks would send all of those picks like that. I gotta wrap my head around that. I think I'll sleep on it, and then we'll give our reactions tomorrow.
Yeah, so expect a post first round, or maybe during the first round while it's still going on, a live stream where we are reacting to the NBA draft and whatever goes down tomorrow. You never know what could happen. Even though it's a weaker draft than past years, probably not one of the strongest drafts in memory. Like, it's the NBA, so shit can go down at any time, as we know. So that's going to do it. Give us your thoughts on the Texas move to hire Jim Schlossnagle. If you're an A&M fan or a Texas fan, or you're just a innocent bystander. And And we'll get into more of this, as I mentioned, and everything else on a dit hole later this week. Until then, hook 'em horns. Chris Del Conte, you're an absolute goddess, and peace out.